Welcome, blockchain developers and enthusiasts. I'm Julian Martinez, Senior Developer Advocate at SDF, and your guide on today's journey. Today we have a pretty exciting agenda to discuss: the introduction to the Soroban Dapps Challenge. We're introducing a comprehensive learning environment that includes working examples of user interfaces, well-crafted smart contracts, and code you could reference and learn from throughout your development journey. I hope this course opens up your perspective on potential of dApps in the blockchain space. And here's the best part: solutions users develop based on the work during this course could make them a key contributor in shaping the future of the Soroban ecosystem. Now, dApps are the cornerstone of Web3, enabling seamless interaction with decentralized networks, but unlike traditional apps, dApps decentralize data handling across the blockchain, ensuring heightened security and transparency. This system hinges on smart contracts, which are self-executing agreements stored on the blockchain and add a whole new level of trust. Our engineers are hard at work to bring you the best smart contract platform out there and putting Rust at the forefront, paving the way for a new effective Rust-supported blockchain experience. And this can be demonstrated in our thriving ecosystem and throughout all of the projects participating in our growth fund, the Stellar Community Fund. All right, so now let's delve into the core of today's presentation, the Soroban Dapps Challenge. I'll go ahead and share my screen here. Awesome. So here's the landing page for the Soroban Dapps Challenge. And if I could sum this challenge up with one sentence, I would say this: this course is part challenge, part educational journey that sets the stage for practical and creative blockchain development. Now, we really aim to provide templated smart contracts, reusable UI, and code that users could reference throughout their development journey. I really want users to be proud of the MVPs that they deploy at the end of each challenge. I want them to have fun, and I want them to learn something at the end of their journey here. So this program is still in feedback phase. So if you have any feedback, you can ping me on Discord at thegodhand #0021, or you can directly comment on the GitHub repo that holds the Soroban Dapps Challenge. I'll go ahead and share that at the end of the presentation. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into some of the components here. All right. So as you can see here, once we click into the drop-down panel, we have two more cards on the left and the right. We'll quickly cover the challenge card here because we'll be spending most of our time here. But the challenge essentially is a series of tasks that users can walk through to complete a Dapp from end to end. That means building the smart contracts, shipping an example front end, and interacting with it on an example UI. Now, on the walkthrough side, this is made for users who really want to drill down into key components of the Dapp. So for example, we have this understanding the environment Docker section that really opens up the understanding for how we're leveraging Docker images. And FYI, for this instance of this example Dapp, we're going to be using Docker images to create a local blockchain that we're going to be interacting with and deploying smart contracts to. Furthermore, in this article, we break down the smart contracts, the functions that are key to making these transactions happen. Personally, I love the state getter functions because it lets us know if the crowdfund is still running, we've hit our goal, or if it's expired already. And something else that's cool about this article is this wallet integration section. Me personally, I actually used a component from the code of the Soroban example Dapp in this challenge. So I used the button and I used the Soroban React component to get the public key from Freighter as it is integrated into this this challenge here. So if you haven't already, go ahead and check out the Soroban example Dapp repo, learn from it. You can have this walkthrough on the side and go through different components you see in there, and I'm sure it'll answer some questions for you. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the explanation of the Dapps Challenge. So one of the best ways to walk through this is to actually walk through this. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my screen here. I've actually done some legwork. I've cloned the repository already. I'm already changed directories into it. I've installed a dependency, and I've built the Docker image for Soroban to run locally. So that is pretty cool about this example Dapp. Because it actually enables us to interact with a local blockchain instance, aka we have Soroban on our local machine. It's going to make development that much faster. We're going to be able to deploy smart contracts to it and interact with our UI from there. So what you just saw is me initializing or starting up the Docker instances that are running in the background, and this is going to enable me to interact with Soroban on my local machine. All right, so let's go ahead to deploying these smart contracts with this script here. So as you can see here, I'm heavily leveraging the scripts that exist inside of this repo. Paul Bellamy did a lot of work to make this happen. A couple of cool things that happen inside of this script is we're creating a token admin. We're funding that address with the local friendbot instance. We're creating a Stellar native asset and wrapping that so it's available on the Soroban side. We're deploying our crowdfund contract, and we're initializing our crowdfund contract with the token we just deployed. So all that stuff is happening right here in this initialized script. We're utilizing tools like the Soroban CLI and just really automating this process. So now that we've got that deployed, we've saved all of that information in these .soroban and .soroban example Dapp files, and we can now interact with it on our local host. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to go ahead and spin up our local UI here. Cool. As you can see, the pledge card isn't populated yet because I'm not yet on that network. Now, to make that happen, we would have to add the standalone network to our Freighter network settings. I've already done that to save some time, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to it now. This is a standalone network, and then I'm going to go ahead and fund this so we can interact with the smart contract. All right. And now, as part of our challenge, we're going to go ahead and mint some tokens to the wallet so we can fund this crowdfund campaign. We'll go ahead and mint 100 EXT to my wallet. Boom, just like that, it's done. And we'll go ahead and pledge 33 EXT to this project. Awesome. We get a success message. We now know that we've pledged this amount, and we can see that reflected on the UI here. So what do we have? We have our deadline so this thing ends. We have the backers so far, and we have the amount we've pledged and the balance of example tokens we still have in our wallet. Great. Now that we have a feel for doing that on the local network, what if I want to take this a step further? What if I want this to actually be shipped on a live network where other people can interact with it? Well, the cool thing about this example Dapp is that we actually have a script that uses the same command. The only thing is we just have to point it at Futurenet. So we'll go ahead and run that script. Actually, we do have to do something real quick. We're going to make this a clean deployment and erase the previous deployment files. All right. And while that's building, I do want to point out that we will have to add the Soroban RPC endpoint to our Freighter wallet. So it's a different endpoint than just standard Futurenet. That's because it interacts with the Soroban RPC, and it's just a requirement for this walkthrough. So again, as you can see, we've deployed the token, and we've deployed the crowdfund contract, and we've initialized it with the token. Let's go ahead and restart our front end here. Cool. And again, the pledge card is not populated because I'm not on the right network. We'll go ahead and switch over to the Soroban RPC, and I'll just go ahead and make sure this is funded. We'll be funding this through Futurenet, although the balance won't be reflected. It does have some testnet Lumen in there. All right, great. So it looks like the front end is reading from our files in our repo, and everything is populated, and we have connection between our smart contract and front end. So I'll go ahead and mint 100 EXT to my wallet just as before. And just a heads up, it may hang up maybe once or twice before it succeeds. All right. So we just got to try this again. All right, so second time's the charm there. As you can see, we have 100 EXT in our wallet, and we can go ahead and pledge an amount to this crowdfund effort. So we'll go ahead and pledge 33 EXT to the crowdfund. All right, cool. We got our success message. It's working. It's on Futurenet. Other users could interact with the smart contract if they wanted to, but let's take it a step further and let's give users a site to interact with and have them be able to contribute to the crowdfund itself. So to do that, we would have to edit our package JSON file to be aligned with a hosting service that we're going to be using known as Vercel. So we're going to be using Vercel to host the site, but you can use many other website hosting services such as AWS S3, there's Netlify, there's also Heroku. So if you are familiar with any of these workflows and want to see them implemented into the challenge, please reach out on Discord and I'll be sure to address that and see how I can implement that here. So what we're going to do is we're simply just going to run the Vercel command. All right, and this part might take anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, depending if you have a Vercel account already, and it has to build the project and then it has to post it up to Vercel. So this is going to be a more condensed version of what this would be like going through the challenge itself. But yeah, once this is done, we'll be able to have a front end we can interact with, and it should be really cool. Cool. So as you can see here, we have our site. Awesome. Now we're no longer on our local host, and we are actually on a live site hosted by Vercel. That means users can go over to this website right now. If they had EXT in their wallet, they'd be able to back this project. Just as an example, we'll go ahead and back this project one more EXT, and boom. As you can see, this is a live site we could share with the community. People could start interacting with it, and etc. But to complete this challenge, I'm going to need to take this URL and go over to checkpoint 7, paste it in, and hit submit. Awesome. So once we hit that submit button, we should get a challenge complete message, and we'll cruise on over to our user dashboard here. Boom. As you can see, the progress has been recorded. We now see I've completed the crowdfund challenge, and we have our Dapp deployment. Awesome. And everything's being reflected from the state of the smart contract there. So that's beautiful. All right, let's go back to our challenge. At the end of submitting their URL, we would encourage users to share their URL with the community, share it in Discord, and have others contribute to their crowdfunding campaign. If you're feeling super inspired and you want to make an improvement to the repo, we encourage you to check out the Soroban example Dapp repo. Go ahead and fork it, make an improvement, and be as creative as you possibly can be. If you want to keep looking into more functionality of Stellar, you can check out the Stellar laboratory on the Futurenet side, explore the assets, and see that you have EXT minted to you to prove that the minting function worked. So like I said, thanks again for letting me introduce this to you. I hope you learned something. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, everybody.